Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, is she girlfriend material or not? To be or not to be? That is definitely the question today. I got two emails I'm going to go through with you today. The first one, obviously I'm going to get into a second after I read a quote that I wrote on this particular topic. And what I'm seeing here in that first email is just, we all do it. We're all guilty. We like somebody, we're attracted to them, and we just think, oh, it's like you got fireworks going off in your mind, you got orchestras playing in the background in your head, and it's like the stars and the planets and the moon, they've all aligned, but we ignore all the red flags that are literally right there. And it's not until the infatuation wears off that you really see this thing, see them for what they really are. And it's like when we're younger, we tend to just ignore these things. I remember when I was young, hey, as long as she was beautiful and hot, I never thought any more past that. It didn't dawn on me when I was young that I could actually go out with a really beautiful girl and hook up and have a good time with her, but just not like hanging out with her, or realize that she was a terrible communicator, or she just wasn't a nice person, or had a shitty attitude or a bad outlook in life. It's not until you get older, because you've had some experience and you get some bumps and some bruises and you get your heart broken a few times, that you realize, you know what, maybe I should put a little bit of thought, just a little bit of thought into women before I go ahead and get into relationships with them. It's funny, people really will put more effort and research into the car they buy versus people they get into a relationship with, or even worse, who they get married to. So I'm going to read this quote, and then we're going to jump right in the first guy's email. And the quote says, just because someone will date and sleep with you, or because you have fun with them, does not mean they are good relationship material. If you are dating or hooking up with someone who is exclusive with someone else, they are a cheater and a devious person by nature. I actually had a woman I was a girlfriend with, and this was after we had split up. We were friends for many years after that, and I remember her telling me, she's like, I can be very devious. I was like, yeah, baby, I know all about that. I still loved her, but we weren't together anymore. I can love her and appreciate her for who she was, but at the end of the day, that's just her nature. That's who she is. And when you get yourself in those kinds of situations, it's better to remove yourself from them or not be in a relationship with them. Especially you got somebody who, they don't know how to handle things, they haven't learned to communicate properly, and so to avoid conflict, they just make up a lie about it. The quote continues on, it's delusional on your part to think that if you get them to leave their lover to have a relationship with you, I've done that before too, that they won't cheat on you at some point. Yep, been there, done that. And I got the t-shirt to prove it. They may stay faithful when they are happy and feel their needs are being met, but if you get too caught up in life and become complacent, their tendencies will be to cheat and get their needs met outside the relationship with someone else instead of communicating properly and working things out like an adult. Yep, got burned on that one too. Cheaters are only good for sex playmates, friends with benefits, or open relationships, not marriage or exclusive relationship material. And I learned this shit the hard way. That's how I can sit there and tell you these things and teach you these things. I'm 44 years old at this point in my life. I've been around the block a few times. And my goal is I want people that are watching this to learn from my experience that I've gained in my life, so you don't have to go through the same things, because it really sucks to find out the person you love is cheating on you, or the person who you were able to, in essence, steal them from somebody else is talking to somebody else behind your back or has been hooking up with them. It's not pleasant, because that's not something that you just snap your fingers and in 24 hours you're totally over it. That shit stings. It takes months to get over that shit. It's really painful. It's hard to motivate yourself to go to work, to get up in the morning, especially after you've had a breakup because of something like that happened. I've learned the hard way. Learn from my mistakes. I don't want you to have to go through the same things. So let's get the first guy's email. He says, hey, Corey. He says, I reestablished contact with a girl which was part of my social circle about 10 years ago through a mutual friend. She's 32 by now. She's a really cute one, and over time I discovered that she is definitely girlfriend material, he says. But since she is in a long-term relationship with someone else, I didn't make any real move and respected her boundaries. But I did keep up some male-female polarity because I didn't want to end up in the friendship zone either. Well, that's cool. Just remember, it's always best to keep yourself from getting in those situations where you get burned by a cheater. Like I said, when you've been around the block a few times, you get burned a few times in these kind of situations. You realize, it's like a little kid, and mom goes, she's boiling water on the stove, and he goes to grab the pot of the handle, and she's like, "Don't, it's hot, you'll get burned." The kid grabs it anyways when she's not looking and spills it all over himself. At some point you're going to learn. He says, at first, this worked well enough that there were more and more signs of attraction from her side. She started texting me more and more, bringing up sexual topics in a playful way. Uh-oh. And keep in mind, she's in a relationship. Now, what you got to realize is, for any of those of you that are in these kinds of situations, or the guy in particular that's having me answer this for him, when you're not, think, fast forward, say she dumps her boyfriend and gets together with you. Fast forward 2 years from now. Say you get busy, you're on a business trip, you were kind of short with her on the phone, and the handsome next door neighbor's hanging out, and he's flirtatious with her, and so because you're not talking, because you were short with her, you're busy, you're caught up in business, she feels like you don't care about her. She's next door at your next door neighbor's having just a glass of wine. One thing after another. Whoops. And she starts going, "Yeah, my boyfriend, he was really short with me on the phone the other day. He's stressed out about work." He's like, "Oh, baby, that's too bad." And he goes over and he starts touching her hand, and then she starts to touch back, and one thing leads to another. That's what happens. That's what you're looking at. This is exactly what she will do to you when you get to the point that her current boyfriend is at. He says, and when we were meeting up with common friends, she started to slightly invade my personal space, etc. Well, definitely indicators of interest. I tried to keep kind of a distance. Yeah, that's the thing. You're trying to kind of keep your distance and not giving her any ideas. You're being totally indifferent towards it, acting like it's not happening. And what does that do? All it does is make her want you more. That's the crazy thing about this stuff. It's the crazy thing of how attraction works. People want what they can't have. But she managed to push my right buttons. It's not that it's really hard. I mean, we're guys, we're visually stimulated. I mean, it is what it is. And so we ended up flirting pretty hard. Yesterday, we met one-on-one. Oops. Which turned out to be a date, and things escalated quite fast. Huh. Shocked. Shocked, I tell you. We had an intense makeout, although we didn't hook up. He says, I'm still wondering if it was the right decision. So in other words, she was ready to fuck your brains out, and you're like, no, you have a boyfriend. I'm not going to do that. I won't be that guy. But at the end of the day, she's just a sex playmate, bro. Friends with benefits. That's all you can have with this. She's not girlfriend material, dude. I'm sorry to tell you. It's the way she is. Remember, she has a boyfriend. Commitments don't mean jack shit to her. Loyalty doesn't mean anything to her. How do I know? Look at her actions. I feel sorry for her boyfriend. We've all been there. I mean, I think every guy has encountered a situation like this at least once in his life. Bottom line is that I realize that she's really into me much more than I expected, and vice versa, I have to admit. I put her in quite an emotional chaos yesterday, and I got the vibe that she needed some space. I had the impression that the situation was far more intense for her than it was for me. Well, she really kind of has more to lose. I mean, obviously her boyfriend and her relationship, and you may potentially get your ass kicked by the boyfriend if he finds out, if he's a bigger dude than you. He says, so I drove her home, and today she started texting me again, and we talked briefly about yesterday. Oh, so she stayed the night. You naughty boy. I can't call a kettle black. I've done this shit too, so I'm just as bad as everybody else. But it's a bad way to go, man. See what happens. You get involved with women like this, and you start thinking relationship, and you totally take yourself out of the game. But women are never out of the game because they're always getting hit on. But us guys, when we get somebody in our life, we think, oh, this is somebody I want to have a relationship with, It's like we blow off. We're no longer asking women out. We're no longer open to that. He says, I kept the serious stuff quite short, telling her that I'm sorry for causing such an emotional chaos. Sure you are, dude. But for me, feelings are real, and I can't simply live against that, and that, by my opinion, if she had such a wonderful relationship, we certainly wouldn't have ended up like yesterday evening. It is what it is, dude. My question, how should I proceed from here? Well, the reality is, bro, she ain't wife material and she ain't girlfriend material. That's it. She's friends with benefits. She's a sex playmate or somebody that you could have an open relationship with. Open relationships mean that the two of you can sleep with and hook up with whoever you want. Because loyalty doesn't mean anything. I mean, look at her. It is what it is. You can't change your nature, and you'd be deluding yourself thinking, oh, I'm going to be different. I'm different than that other. I'll be much better than her current boyfriend. And since I'll be much better, she would never do this to me. I used to think like that. You still get fucking burned because every guy's going to get lazy. He's going to get complacent. He's going to get caught up in his career or his business or his mission in life. You might get short with your girlfriend because you're in a shitty mood one time when she calls you for the third time during the day. And that's one thing leads to another. And when you haven't heard from her in a couple of days, it's because she's hanging out with some other guy who's just a friend. And in her mind, she's rationalizing your boyfriend. Well, it's just a kiss. It's not sex. In her mind, she didn't cheat. Sometimes a kiss is just a kiss. He says, I'm really struggling right now to find my right frame of mind. I thought about pulling back, telling her to come back when she sorted out things, but since we share a common social circle, ooh, you probably know the boyfriend too, this would result in burning all bridges for what she gave me no reason at all so far. Should I let things run their course, which will probably end up in her cheating on her boyfriend? Well, if it was me, I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't call, I wouldn't text, I wouldn't do nothing. And the bottom line is, she's going to cheat. That's the way it is. If you want to just hook up and give her the flesh rocket, that's the way it is. But don't delude yourself into thinking you can have a relationship with it. At this point in my life, I don't fuck with things like this. When a girl tells me she's got a boyfriend, my answer is always the same. Hey, well, let me know if it doesn't work out. I think you're amazing. That's it. I don't then go any further because I know how that movie ends. I'm not interested in watching the same movie for the umpteenth time when I know the ending. He says, I feel the responsibility for creating some red line for her in the near future. Something like, look, girl, this is me and how I deal with the situation, take it or leave it. But I'm pretty much overextended with the situation myself at the moment. I hope you have some advice for me to straighten my thoughts up. Well, like I said, dude, she's a cheater, and and you could easily look at it and go, well, you know what? If it wasn't you, it'd be some other dude, and that's the truth of the matter. So I can't tell you what to do. You have to decide who you are and what you want. If you're looking for a relationship, somebody to be girlfriend boyfriend with, then she ain't it. But if you want to just hook up and get laid, no strings attached, she'd probably be a good girl to do that with. But, I mean, at the end of the day, there's consequences. Because think about it. If she's in the same social circle, well, obviously the boyfriend's in the social circle as well. And so think how awkward that's going to be if you go and you sleep with her. I mean, it's already going to be awkward because you're hanging out and flirting with her and making out with her. Think about if you show up in your social circle and there she is with her boyfriend. How weird is that going to be? And what if somebody in your group, because you can't keep your mouth shut, knows about it, and they get a couple drinks in them and they start talking, and the boyfriend overhears that you boinked his girlfriend and he's bigger than you and he wants to kick your ass. My younger brother, this is going back almost 20 years ago, he had a situation where he was starting to see this girl who was the hostess where they worked. My brother and this other friend of his worked valet. And so he followed this girl back to her place one night, and basically what happened, my brother they all knew something was up when my brother's friend didn't show up at work the next day. What they later found out was that she shows up at her place with this guy that my brother worked with, and the crazy this guy, they weren't even together anymore, but he was waiting in the parking lot. I think he was trying to get her back or whatever, and confronts it to him with a gun, shoots my brother's friend, kills him right on the spot, and he's, look at what you made me do. Then he turns a gun on himself and blows his brains out in front of her. It's like, there are guys that are out there that are like that. They can't handle this shit. So it's just better to Leave that shit alone, man. Leave the strange alone. Have some self-restraint. If I were you, I'd have some self-restraint. But, I mean, at the end of the day, if you just want to hook up with her and she's reaching out to you, hey, why don't you grab a bottle of wine, come over to my place. Invite her over to your house. Hang out, have fun, and hook up at your place. But just don't ever delude yourself into thinking you can have a relationship with her. So let's get into the second email. And this guy's got more of like a communication issue here with his girlfriend, which it brings up some really good points because she tends to ask him to do a lot of favors. And it's easy when you get into a relationship with a girl. Hey, you know, my battery's dead in my car. Because women are like that. Hey, my car won't start. They're going to call you for everything. Women want your attention all the time anyways. When they're head over heels in love with you, they want every minute of your time that they can get. And that's just the way they are. But you got to make sure you don't start to become a doormat and a butler and a manservant and a do-boy for her, always handling shit. Her personal assistant or her therapist for that matter. So he says, Dear Coach, your book is helping me gain my balance as a man. One thing I'm curious about is balancing the 10 disciplines of love with which is something from the back of my book on the relationship stuff, with the concepts of challenge and mystery. Things are going smoothly, and she's always telling me how incredibly in love she is with me. That's definitely a good sign. How I'm the only person that truly gets her. Nice job. That's a huge compliment. When a woman says, you're the only guy that gets me, that's pretty solid, dude. I want to keep this up, and I understand that I need to keep doing what I'm doing and not overthink it. However, this is my first relationship of this magnitude, so I have a hard time fine-tuning and articulating exactly what I'm doing right. I know, this is why I say read the book 10 to 15 times, dude. Because you get in a situation, you're goo goo gaga, I love you, and you know, she's fucking your brains out every day, and she's like, when do we get married? Shit like that. It's hard to keep your head screwed on straight, especially the first time you're experiencing that, because the level of feelings that you're feeling in this kind of relationship is like on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like 1,000 compared to the normal women that you're into. And when you're experiencing this for the first time, it's like a pinball machine on tilt. It's like it's really hard to keep your wits about you. He says she's a strong alpha female and needs a strong man in return, so I want to be aware of the more subtle nuances of my actions. She expresses her love for me a lot, but sometimes I can tell she's just saying it to hear it back. It's less passionate when we say it a lot, even though she mostly initiates it. Sometimes she says I love you 3 times in a 5-minute span before I'm about to leave, but how do I approach this? Thank you, baby. I adore you too. I love it when you say that. You want to say that to me one more time? I love you. Ooh, it's music to my ears. Say it again, sweetheart. You have no idea what that does for me, baby. It's like always have a different way of responding. Don't just be like, probably want a cracker, probably want a cracker, I love you, I love you. Don't be like that. Come up with something creative. You can always think of something. Or, when she says, I love you, I love your lips. I love you. I love it when you're on top of me, ride me like a fucking stallion. I love you. I love fucking you doggy style. I love you. I love waking up next to you in the morning. Always have something different that you come back with. I love you. Have I ever told you how fucking sexy you look when you say that? Get your ass over here and kiss me. Always be different. Always have something. He says, am I not incorporating enough mystery? You say to let her say it 80% of the time and not to always say I love you back, but to come up with a creative response. But what other ways make it more meaningful? Just like I just said, I gave you a bunch of examples right there. Acknowledge what she said to you and give something back, but in a different way. Don't be a fucking parrot that just says I love you every time she says it, because then it just loses all meaning. And sometimes she'll say it just to hear what you're going to say. I love you. I love your feet. You have the most beautiful feet. I love you. You have the most beautiful legs. I love you. You have the most beautiful boobs on the planet. I want to motorboat those things. Come here. Always be something different. Be playful. Be fun. And if she keeps doing it, say, all right, I'm not going to say anything anymore because I'm running out of good comebacks here. Spin her around, spank her in the ass, and say, you need to get out of here because I got work to do. Just be playful. Have fun with it. He says, she asked me for a lot of favors, turning on the AC when she's busy, grabbing her a drink when I'm in the kitchen, letting her dog out while she's getting ready for work, and loves for me to run errands with her. The 10 disciplines discuss putting your lover's needs first, but how does challenge factor into this? Well, when it's the 10 disciplines of love, when it says putting your lover's needs first, the whole purpose of being in a relationship is you're there to give. You're there to help each other grow and become more. You're there to love each other and support each other and do what each other needs. But the key is to make sure that the other person is doing what you want her to do. And not to go along with things just because you're trying to make her happy. You don't want to become a pleaser. You do things for her as long as she's appreciating. That's important. When she starts to take things for granted, that's when you got to speak up for yourself and say, hey, I came and picked you up this morning because you said you needed my help, and then you were snotty to me. And that's not fucking cool. You didn't even say thank you. You hauled ass out of here, and you didn't even kiss me goodbye or nothing. And you grab her by her pants or her belt buckle and pull over and go, you need to be sweet to me. You need to appreciate me. And I don't like it when you take me for granted. And just that little look and that firmness, that's enough in the moment to communicate that what she said was inappropriate and you're not going to let her walk all over you or take advantage of you or take you for granted. As long as she's always like, oh, you're the best boyfriend. I love you so much. Thank you for coming to pick me up when my car broke down. Thank you for fixing my garbage disposal. I was like, great. What are you making me for dinner? I'm fucking hungry. Great. You got any fucking cold beer now? Great. When she goes, thanks for fixing my refrigerator. It's like, great. How about a blowjob? That'd be so nice. I'm so tense right now from all that hard work. It's like, that'd be just really nice, sweetheart. That'd be a nice way to really show your appreciation. He says, often they sound like commands, such as, let my dog outside, go turn the stove on, come to the park with me. I've jokingly asked her about this, and she laughed it off, saying that that's how she talks to everyone, which I noticed is true. And then when she says, when she goes, come to the park with me, honey, I don't like how you just said that. I want you to be sweet and say, honey, I would really love to go to the park with me. Will you please come with me, please? And make fun of her like she's batting her eyelashes at you. It's like, if you want me to go to the park with you, that's how you need to be sweet and playful. I'm not a fucking dog. You don't order me around. I'm your lover. I'm your boyfriend. I'm your man. Be sweet. Be appreciative. Don't talk to me like that. Don't bark orders at me. That's all you got to say. Just a look and being firm in your voice. And that will re-express your dominance and that you're recognizing that the way she's showing up is being inappropriate. You're not being a dick about it. You're being playful, but you're also correcting behavior that's communicating that she's taking the way she's showing up as if she's taking you for granted. And that's not cool. And when you communicate to her in that moment that you don't like how she's showing up and that she's acting like she's taking you for granted, she'll appreciate the fact that you stood up for her and you won't let her walk all over you. Because remember, women are always testing your strength. They're always testing to see what you're made of. And if you let her continue to get away with that shit, guess what happens? The bitchy girlfriend will start to show up. And the more you show weakness and the more you let her walk all over you, the bitchier she's going to become. To the point where she just blatantly starts blowing you off and jerking you around and being snotty with you. Why would she do that? Because she wants you to fucking stand up for yourself and be a man. And be charming, be playful, but also be firm when she starts to cross the line in the stand or cross the boundaries, so to speak, of what's not appropriate. He says she's a woman that gets shit done, so this is one of her more masculine traits. Well, by you standing up for yourself in the way I just mentioned, that will keep her in her feminine, so she'll always be girly when she says about it. And she's like, just like a little girl when she sits in her daddy's like, Daddy, I really want to go to Disney World. When can we go next? I was like, I don't know, sweetheart. It's like, what are you going to do for me? Well, did you clean your room? It's like, well, I could do that. I was like, well, tell you what. If you clean your room every day this week without me having to ask, I just might surprise you with it. It's that kind of mindset you want to have. It's like, who's your daddy? I'm your daddy, baby. Spank her in the butt. Think of it like that. He says, one-on-one, none of her requests are outrageous, but I also don't want to get in the habit of doing everything for her or slip into the always telling me what to do. Exactly, because if you let her bark orders at you, she can do that shit with her girlfriends, but you need to nip that shit in the bud. You need to let her know immediately that the way she's talking to you is fucking inappropriate in the ways that I just expressed. Not by being a dick, but be charming and playful, but also firm. And with that look in your eye that I did on camera for you. I won't charge you extra for that. He says, it really bothers me when she does this to me around people. See, you're letting her do this, it sounds like, on a more consistent basis. It's like with women, you give them an inch, they're going to see if they can take a mile. Why? Because they want to feel your strength. They want to feel you stand up to them. They want to make sure that you're not going to let them get away with this bullshit. That's how they stay in love with you. That's how they continue to feel safe and comfortable letting you be the leader. Because remember, if you won't stand up for her, if she was ever in any real danger, you probably won't stand up for her either. Think about it. You won't stand up to her, you won't stand up for her. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of her. He says, I'll tease her and take my time getting around to it, but how should I address her about this? With humor? Am I overreacting? What are your thoughts on doing favors and running errands? Do all of them, but always make sure that she's sweet and she's appreciative and she does something for you in return. Why? Because it's all about giving. You're happy to fix her kitchen sink or her car, or pick her up if her car breaks down, or help her rearrange the furniture in her house or whatever. But always make sure that she's doing something back for you. And if you want her to do something back, ask her. Just come right out. And when she's being inappropriate, you got to call her out on her bullshit. Because that's what's going to keep her in her feminine. And when you keep her in her feminine, guess what? You're going to find her more sexy and more attractive and want to be around her. Because the more you allow her to stay in her masculine and bark orders at you, she's not as hot and as desirable when she's acting that way as when she's prancing around the house with her boobs bouncing up and down and her little summer dress flowing all over the place, and you can see the outline of her body with no panties on. He says, she's the most loving, caring woman I've ever met, and I want to make her happy. Could you please discuss the alpha female and balancing the 10 disciplines of love so that I never become a pleaser, pushover, and remain a challenge and a mystery? Well, like I said, I think I've thoroughly beat that horse to death, but you get the idea. But like I said, I see a lot of this in your email, that you're allowing her to kind of jerk you around and take you for granted. So you need to nip that shit in the bud immediately, or you're going to start to see the bitchy girlfriend, and she's not going to be saying I love you as much and not wanting to have sex as much. And plus, she's not going to look as desirable to you, because what's happening is she's slowly going to move back into her masculine. And she may not be that way with all her friends, but you don't want her to be that way with you. You want it to be automatic. When she's around you, she turns into a playful, sweet little sex flower. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching. You choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.